Okay then. Okay. Namaste. Good afternoon. I am Swadesh Patnaik. I welcome you to the 60th meeting of the think tank. As you know, 60 number is something special. Something is significant because it reminds us of our age and also of our responsibilities and how to rethink and review the whole thing or have a fresh look. Similarly, this is our 60th meeting, so it is, I think, high time that we should have a fresh look of the whole thing. Then we will, after having a fresh look, we will go forward next year for the next program. And today, rather, we are delighted to see young faces, that is the student of MBA. And then I am reminded of my MBA days where I was very much fascinated with an advertisement from, I think, Steel, Tata Steel, which says, we also make steel. And then later on, Rakhya Patra, they gave an advertisement. They came up with an advertisement that is, we make the difference. A couple of months back, Dr. Sanjay Panda came up with a topic. CSR can make a difference. So that is why we are here to discuss on how CSR can make a difference. It is not a program, it is not a scheme, but an approach to the corporate management. And we are very much fortunate to have Mr. Panda here to speak. Also, Dr. T.K. Chan is there. He will be sharing his ideas. And to add icing to the cake, we have got Dr. Subhas Pani, ex-chief secretary, to be the moderator. And as usual, we have got General Mahapatra to deliver his welcome address. So this is the setting that we are now having. And then I have the privilege, the pleasure to introduce our guest today, Dr. Sanjay Kumar Panda. You know, he had a very brilliant academic career, and then is a student of chemistry, but did PhD in economics. He has a passion for sericulture and silk industry, and then he pursued that interest. And though he joined in IAS in 1980 and was allotted Manipur and Tripura cadre, and then after retirement, through his career in sericulture and silk industry, he was awarded the most prestigious award, that is Louis Pasteur Award at Bangkok in 2016, that is 24th conference of sericulture and industrial conference, international conference. And people consider that is normally considered as Nobel Prize in sericulture and silk industry. And then Dr. Panda has a very illustrious career in the administrator. Before joining as the secretary to Government of India Textiles Department, he was chief secretary Tripura, and during his period, he could bring up 95% people. He could bring up 95% literacy of the Tripura people, and 93% of the people came for the voting. That is voting turnout. So 95% literacy and 93% voting turnout he could bring out during his period. And he has really got a very nice career, and he's very much enthusiastic. He is basing on the in experience in Tripura. He has written a book, very fascinating book, that is 1 + 1 makes 11. And he has written that also in Bengali. I don't know whether he's writing in Odia or not, but it's a very nice book, that is 1 + 1 makes 11. So welcome, sir. Welcome to the webinar. And then we have got Dr. Tapan Kumar Chand amongst us. He's also a very brilliant academic career. He was alumnus of Utkal University, and then a gold medalist. And besides his academic career, he had also professional management courses outside the country, that is in Europe, and also that is that is in Australia. And then in the field of mining and steels, for 35 years he was there. He's there. He has vast experience, and then he is somehow treated as a role model in the corporate management, in the corporate industry. And then he, before joining as the CMD of NALCO, he was in Visakhapatnam Steels, and also he was Central Coal Limited. And then in Central Coal Limited, he was instrumental in making that organization as a member of the UN Global Compact. And then he was all, when joining at NALCO, he was instrumental in bringing out a vision paper for 2030, Aluminium Industries Vision 2030. He has also prepared some business verticals, new business verticals to bring out the
I request everyone to please
energy,
mute
the caustic soda and the lithium. This is a very important thing. And also he is instrumental in making NALCO as the cheapest or the lowest cost producing industry in the aluminum sector, bauxite and aluminum sector in the world. So, sir, you are the one of the best persons available, and he has got a passion for also the CST, as General Mahapatra was just telling. He has implemented the CSR program not as a program or a project, but as an approach. I welcome you, sir. And then, of course, we have got Dr. Subhash Pani. He is multifaceted personality. Say literature, say Sanskrit, say language, say administration, tourism, culture, whatever you name anything, he has got the distinguished footprint. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the webinar, and thank you very much for moderating the whole thing. So welcome, sir, also General Mahapatra, to welcome others. So before I don't want to take much time, I now hand over the floor to Dr. Pani to moderate. Dr. Pani.
Thank you. This is indeed a very important meeting of the think tank because of the theme and also because of the two eminent speakers we have got. So without wasting much time, I would first request General Mahapatra to kindly welcome our guests and also participants, and then we'll go into the formal proceedings of the day. General Mahapatra, please.
Namaskar and thank you. It's a great privilege to welcome all of you on behalf of Think Tank Odisha and also Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Center for Communication and Management. Not only the members of Think Tank are here, there are many other eminent persons are attending this, and particularly the students of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan and also others. And I'm told by the host, large number of students are attending this. This is an important subject for them also, for us to know, and there are certain posers I'll be giving out, which we can ponder over later. The first and foremost, 1st April 2014. What is the significance? What happened on that day? Well, India happens to be the first country in the world which legally mandated CSR by inserting a new rules, Section 135 to the Indian Companies Act, making it mandatory for the companies of certain turnover and profitability to spend 2% of average net profit for the last 3 years on CSR. The net worth, the net at that time, net worth of 500 crores and turnover 1,000 crores. So this is a landmark thing. Before we proceed, important, Swadesh Patnaik has already mentioned, so I won't. But it is very interesting that exactly 1 year after that, on 1st of April 2015, another important project, interesting and very much appreciative, is the Ahar project of Odisha. There are many centers which have been created, particularly in the hospitals and all that, where food during the lunch time and dinner at ₹5 is being given to them. Government of India is giving something, Orissa government, and there are 15 other agency participants are there, and lot of contribution from CSR to this project. I've seen these things. It makes a tremendous difference to the poor people, particularly attendants to the patients in hospital, cancer hospital, and all over. So this is a question. Second thing I want to touch upon, that how did it happen? What is this? Who is the father of this CSR? I had a look at it at the history. It is a person whose name is Howard Boyle. Howard Boyle is considered to be the father of this concept of CSR, corporate social responsibility. And if we go back to the history, the first person, wealthy person, from a company's profit, spending philanthropy, was none other than Andrew Carnegie, and followed by Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller. And this goes back to 1830s, 1930. And Rockefeller at that time contributed $500 million for this project. And Andrew Carnegie is the first person who gave out the concept and the mission of gospel wealth. It's a very interesting book, and he has given out not only you make profit, but necessity for other purposes. Now we come back. I want to touch upon that we know the project aims and objectives are there, experts are there, policy makers are there. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Policy makers are here. Implementers are also here. So we are very lucky. I want to give out few points which needs to be addressed by the panelists. First and foremost point is selection of project, how it is done and how simplification is possible. That's the first point. Second, application of area, local. There is no doubt local people of the corporate must benefit. But should it be confined to that, or it should have an all India basis? Next is implementation agency. Whether the company will do or the government will do or whatever the things are, how it is going on, some suggestions could be given on that. Next point is, at present it is 2%. Those who have implemented it and you know what benefit is accruing out of it, should this percentage be increased? Next, spending by non-mandated companies. At present, the network and the profit aspect has been given. There are many companies who are also spending it. What sort of a guideline, etc., could possibly be given to them? Next point is donation to the government, sponsored funds. Should it be done? Is it being done? If so, do you think it is desirable CSS to give this? Ahar is a different type of project, but it is some contribution of the government is also there. So, but a larger fund like Prime Minister Care Fund and other funds, should there be donation? The next is project reports, the selection of projects and the preparation. This is linked up with career prospects. The students, large number of students are attending this, firstly to understand what is CSR and its importance, and also what is the scopes for career for those students. So with these a little bit of suggestion and queries, I want to hand over to our friend Mr. Pani to go ahead and wish you all a very interesting discussion and lot of question answer. And I request Mr. Pani to allocate sufficient time for question answer. Without that, it will be incomplete. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, General Mahapatra. I think General Mahapatra has given us a very clear perspective of the topic for discussion today, giving its historical background, the statutory basis of corporate social responsibility today in India, its genesis, and also highlighted some of the critical issues which need to be addressed. And we hope that we will hear on these specific issues from both our eminent speakers. So we will start with Mr. Panda, who has been introduced ably by Swadesh. So I would request Sanjay to give his address on the topic of corporate social responsibility.
Esteemed chairman and members of the think tank, respected Dr. Pani, other persons attending the webinar, and dear students pursuing MBA in the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity. My task of dealing with this subject has become much easier with the very exhaustive introduction by Major General Mahapatra. You see, I am slightly in a difficult position because of the mixed audience. There are persons who knows much of CSR and there are students. Because of shortage of time, I'll try to limit myself basically to the implementation related issues that is making a difference. What is CSR? Its various aspects I will very briefly touch upon, but I would request Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan authorities, if they deem it necessary, I can address the students and share my views on the subject and greater details about the theoretical aspect of CSR. Dear friends, CSR is basically three words: corporate, social, and responsible. All of us know what is corporate. We also know what is society. We all live in the society. Let me touch upon responsible. What is responsibility? Responsibility is defined basically as a good judgment. It is a noun. And it basically relates to ability to act correctly. I underline act correctly and take decision on one's own. So our discussion would be centered around this particular aspect of the definition of CSR, particularly the responsibility aspect of it. I will not go into details of the history of evolution of CSR. In fact, as I mentioned, General Mahapatra has already mentioned that thing. I will mention about two important milestones in the evolution of the concept of CSR. As all of you are aware, one of the major definition or major remark and views about CSR is given by Milton Friedman. And what he mentioned, he is from America, and he, based on his studies of the contemporary society of America, he was a very strong opposition to CSR. In fact, the sentence is very remarkable. He mentioned that taking care of the society is the job of the state, and business has no role. I underline that thing. Business has no role except for paying taxes and should not get into dealing with social issues. This is one of the extreme end of CSR. I now take you to the other extreme end. This is they are told by Stickson, who was the chairman of the World Council for Sustainable Development, and he is of the view that corporate cannot succeed in a society that is failing. We have umpteen number of examples both within India, in Orissa, outside Orissa, in the world, that whenever the society is not at peace, there are opportunities, but the corporate houses cannot encash those opportunities. I am not going details into it, but I'll just like to remind that one of the largest foreign direct investment which was to come to Orissa was that of POSCO, but it could not happen. Why it didn't happen is not, this is not the forum to discuss that thing, but the main point is that if the society is not at peace, if society doesn't accept certain things, corporate cannot explore the opportunity that is there. Same thing, the activities of the left-wing extremist activities is also another example. I had the opportunity of tackling this issue over 3 decades in Tripura in various capacities. Now, dear friends, out of these two things, these extreme views, the concept of CSR got crystallized, and that was in the form of the triple bottom line. As all of you are aware, corporate are set up by persons who put their money, that is as share, they are called the shareholders, and they are the owner of the company. Company pursues various, activities of production and marketing of goods and services with the main objective of returning on the investment. Whatever the shareholders have invested, they have to be, return has to be there, and that is called dividend and other thing. So the company management is always guided by that concept of making profit. But it was found that this particular concept of pursuing only profit is not sustainable on a long-term basis. So this definition got enlarged, and 1P, that is profit, got enlarged by covering people. That is the social issue relating to the people, and environmental issues relating to the planet, environment, and that is how the concept of the triple bottom line emerged. Now you see in the entire world, the corporate activities, the success, failure, etc., is largely dealt not in terms of profit, but in terms of sustainability, in terms of the triple bottom line. So that is that being our starting point. Now let us see. We are talking about making a difference. I am grateful to Swadesh Babu. He has preempted me that when I discussed with him that making a difference, I had something in mind and he had preempted me. This, of course, I'll be dealing to in the majority part of my presentation today. So making difference where? Making difference in the society. So society में क्या है? Society में basic issues क्या है? Basic issues what General Mahapatra mentioned about ahara and other things are the basic human needs are roti, kapda, makan, khana, kapda, and रहने के लिए घर. These are the basic issues. Subsequently, as we go ahead in the ladder of development, this definition has got enlarged, and now we are talking about the 3 components of human resource development. What are those 3 components? It is quality education, quality healthcare, and a livelihood for all. So, dear friends, these are the basic social issues. So, when you are talking about any intervention, we have to assess, we have to see, we have to examine, we have to analyze and understand that whether it is making any difference in these aspects or not. Our constitution adopted and the noble goal enshrined in the preamble, and it is ensuring justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity. Basically, it is justice and equality. All people, all citizens are same, equal. But इसको हमारे honorable Prime Minister has also underlined, coining very beautiful word, सबका साथ, सबका विश्वास, सबका विकास. And अभी उसके साथ और एक जोड़े हैं, that is सबके साथ, सबके विकास and सबके विश्वास. That is the thing. It is for all. It is equality, principle of equality. Now we come, dear students and participants, we come to the next question. अगर ये करना है, ये किसका जिम्मेदारी है? अगर सबको सब चीज देना है, if there would be equality, who is to do that thing? Whose responsibility it is? And we know that a democracy, all said and done, is the best form of government. And that is because of the United Nations definition of development is that it is a process of enlarging choice of the individual. Democracy is the best form mainly because of the Abraham Lincoln's definition, by the people, for the people, of the people. At a periodic interval, people go to poll and they decide their leaders and they form the government. So this being the base form of government, the question comes that who is responsible in ensuring this basic principle to all citizens? It is there in the Constitution in the directive principle of state policy. Directive principle of state policy very clearly, unambiguously mentioned that it is the state's responsibility, it is the government responsibility to look after the people and to ensure this. So that is the second thing that I mentioned. Now I come to the major point that if democracy is the best form of government, many things doesn't happen. Why it doesn't happen? Why it doesn't happen? क्या constraint इसमें क्या है? What are the challenges faced by a developing democracy, particularly like India? Friends, one of the most important thing all of you will agree that it is the limitation of resources, both natural and financial. We all talk of America. There was a craze for going to America, getting settled there. Everybody feels that, honey and milk flows in America. But why? Why it is like that? If we just one parameter, that is the per capita availability of resources. For example, I have just taken the GDP figure that speaks for itself. GDP per capita in India is 2010 US dollar in 2018, whereas in United States it is 65,474. That it is over 32 times that of India. So we may like to do many things, but availability of resources is certainly one of the biggest constraints in a developing country. Then we come to the next thing, that we have crossed 70 years of independence, and now because of impact of education for all, literacy for all, and awareness created by the print and electronic media, and more so created by the social media in the recent past, it has got a very big impact on the psychology of the youth. That impact is now the expectation of the youth, expectation of the people is rising very fast. It is rising something like in the geometric progression, 2 becoming 4, 4 becoming 16, 16 becoming 256. That is the geometric progression. Now you see what I mentioned earlier, government is taking steps. As a result of government intervention, opportunity is also increasing. Many of us are bureaucrats. We have spent our life, 3 to about 4 decades in government activities. And all will agree that there is opportunities increasing, but it is increasing slowly. It is increasing in arithmetic progression. 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 6, 6 becomes 8, 8 becomes 10, like that. So now what is happening? One side, the expectation is increasing very fast, and the opportunity is increasing slowly. So we come to a situation where there is a gap in the expectation, meeting the expectation. So when these expectations are not being made, the impact is general. It is leading to frustration. Frustration is leading to anger, and anger is leading to violence. You see, whenever we see that violence is occurring, there are many reasons for that. But certainly one of the reasons is this unfulfilled expectation of the youth because of the media and other creation thing. People want many things, but it is not happening. This is definitely one of the deciding factors. So we know that peace is a must for any society, for any development process. Peace is a must. So now comes the question is that if we follow the normal thing of doing this thing, government doing this thing in arithmetic progression, we certainly cannot meet the geometric progression growth of the expectation. So there comes the need for thinking out of box, for thinking beyond the traditional approach of government doing everything. And we have to think about the other major partner of the society. The other major partners being, one is the corporate and one is the civil society, that the NGO. So now I come to the second part of it, that is making a difference, how we can make a difference, and I'll give you some presentation on that. So then I'll briefly touch upon the CSR, which has been again explained by General Mahapatra. I'll not go into detail. You know, from 1st April 2014, by an amendment to the Companies Act, a new section 135 was inserted. And according to that, it is only the bigger companies who are now, for them it is statutory. Those bigger companies are decided by net profit either equal to or more than 5 crore in the preceding year, or net worth equal to more than 500 crores, or turnover equal to more than 1000 crores. This category of companies, those who fall in this category in respect of their performance in the preceding year, they have to discharge this responsibility also notified under section 135 of the Companies Act. What are these responsibility? Responsibility are basically 4. First is, all of you know, the companies are managed by the board of directors. So board of directors there would be a CSR committee. At a board level CSR committee would be there. That is the first requirement. Second requirement is that the CSR committee will form a CSR policy, and that would be adopted by the company. That is the CSR policy. third thing is what was mentioned. Preceding 3 years में जो net profit है, average of that thing and 2% of it has to be spent on activity. That is called CSR activity. CSR activities क्या है? Those are specifically notified in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act. This is the third thing. And fourth thing is important. Fourth thing is whatever they do, they have to publish every year. Along with the annual report, they will give another annexer in the report on CSR. And what is more important, they will indicate that 2% of the profit, average profit comes to how much they could spend. And if they have not been able to spend a part of it, what was the reason for it? So this is the 4 responsibilities. And mind you, this out of the 4 things, the only thing which is, for which a company can be penalized is not the first 3, but it is the third thing. Third thing is that if the company is not publishing, then it is under the act and the penal action is there for this particular thing. So this is the thing. Now we come that what are the activities? CSR activities, this is the these are the 12 parameters relating to the notified in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, and it is again the same thing what I discussed, the basic need of human being. What is first point? Eradication of hunger, poverty, malnutrition, promoting health care, including preventive health care, sanitation, etc., till safe drinking water. Number 2 क्या है? Promoting education, special education, employment enhancing vocational skill, and then livelihood enhancement projects. This is the second aspect of it. Third is gender equality. Fourth is environmental sustainability. Then, of course, national heritage is there, armed forces, veteran, rural sports, Prime Minister Relief Fund. Then, technological incubator, rural development projects, slum development project, and disaster management. These are the activities which are notified in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, and the company has to spend the CSR money only on these things. You see, it's a different thing. Company can do anything out of their profit. There is no bar. But that will not count towards this 2% unless it is out of this thing. Whatever is notified, expenditure only on those things will be counted as CSR activity. That is the, the activity. Now, let me come to my major presentation. CSR को हम लोग जैसे जनरल महापात्र साहब ने बताया, India was the first country to make CSR mandatory. इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था? जब कोई legislation आता है, then when the bill is mooted in the parliament, then they give a note as to what are the intentions. So इसके intention, according to me, I am telling very briefly, are basically 2. First is to mobilize some additional finance, and second is other thing. Now let us see what happened in mobilizing additional finance. You see, when the act was initially, amended and CSR was made mandatory, that time there was an estimation that in a year, about 15,000 crores would be made available as a 2% of the profit of the companies which will come under purview of this particular provision. And I have given you before what are the trend, the number of companies and the amount. First year, 14-15, it was 10,000 crores. So it increased to 14,500 in the second year, decreased partially to 14,312 in the third year, then increased to, decreased to 13,326 in the fourth year. These are actual data published by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs.
Mr. Panda, time please. Time. Please carry on. Time.
How much time?
Okay. It's already over. It's already over. Okay. Tell me, conclude.
Then I think, okay. So you see, against 15,000 crores, 13,000 crores has been spent. And, it is distorted because Maharashtra get about 15%, Odisha got 3%, and Northeast got nil. So then we come to the other aspect is that all other things that non-financial like healthcare, education, employment, etc., which are notified in the Schedule 7. So here we have to see that when we are discussing this, we tell it in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. So we have to address, keep in mind the requirement of the Sustainable Development Goal 2030. I am just talking one issue. I was mentioning Sadaswami told. I have tried to cover the Akshaya Patra Foundation thing. Very briefly, I will mention. Checking hunger is the basic requirement. So you see, government implemented large number of schemes for checking hunger. Starting from 1975 में ICDS में supplementary nutrition, midday meal में 1995, then the subsidized food grain under PDS, then waste food under the Waste Rural Employment Program, and then finally it was made statutory in 2013. And I am just saying one figure, that is under midday meal. This year the allocation is 8,100 crores. My point of telling you this thing is that total amount we are spending under CSR is negligible, like a drop in the ocean if we see the total amount of money that government has been spending. So if this is the report of the latest report, the Global Hunger Report 2020. India has not done very well. You see, we are 94 and we are behind Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. That is the status of hunger in India. This is coming frequently in the paper. That is Samaj Ka Ye Do Cutting, you must have seen. I am not going into it. It came yesterday only that, due to lockdown, impact of COVID, how the position of food availability has worsened. This is the position. Now, Akshaya Patra Foundation, all of you are aware. I am not going in details into it. The point is that starting from a humble 1,500 children, it has now crossed 18 lakh children. Okay, so this is what is making the difference. And now the point is that lesson from Akshaya Patra Foundation kya hai? I'll take only 3 minutes more. So, Akshaya Patra Foundation jo lesson hai, here government is not doing this thing. The first thing is that corporate has provided the one-time capital cost under CSR, induction of technology and managerial expertise. That is the corporate contribution. Government has dovetailed the money for meeting the running cost of all the midday meal scheme and other things, and it is being managed by a civil society. So we have put the 3 things out of together for making it happen. This was my book which was released in 2018 on the subject. So, dear friends, then I was about the other book Swadesva was mentioning. I feel that this has happened largely because of 3 things. We are making 1 + 1 11 is a transformation. 1 + 1 makes 2 is the normal change. But what we need is a radical change, that is transformation. And I strongly feel this can happen if there are 3 things. The 3 things are basically, first is the positive mindset among the stakeholders. Second thing is multidisciplinary teamwork, and third thing, use of appropriate technology. This is the theme of my book. It is published in English also. In 2014, it was published in English, and there I have covered 18 such stories as to how we can make a big difference. So that is the point, and this is my last slide. Whenever I made a presentation like this, there are a lot of scope, but it doesn't happen. Why it doesn't happen? I have summed up in 2 lines in Oriya, which I normally put end of all my presentation. Andhara boli koronai kodo, dipatiye diyo jali, haripo toiru sahasra dipali andhakare jiva chali. Very often we lose our precious time, energy in finding fault with each other. But if we work together in a darkness, if we light a diya, then 1,000 diya will glow and the darkness will go away. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Sanjay. That was an excellent presentation and very crisp and very comprehensive also. So we have seen this largely from a perspective of the concepts and also the legal framework in India, as well as some examples of actual CSR in operation. And he has focused on the right priorities like hunger and various other items which have already been included in the CSR as per the legal framework, and he has gone beyond that in terms of the sociological background of that, like the dissatisfaction in the society due to deprivation, etc. Now let us hear Dr. Chand, who will give us a different perspective, because he has been in the hot seat of one of the largest corporations in India, the public corporation, but one of the Navaratna companies, and also very much headquartered in Odisha. So we get a more, though from an all India perspective, but more close to our land, that is Odisha. And let us hear his, because he has seen it from the close quarters, right from the time when the concept statutory became a statutory responsibility, the concept of CSR, and then he has also implemented it, because he has also, my personal knowledge is that he has gone beyond what was the statutory requirement, but he has also participated as the leader of this large company in many additional initiatives for which there is no restriction. So we are welcome again, Dr. Chand. We now want to hear your perspective on this very important subject. Dr. Chand. Please unmute your audio. Please.
In today's virtual meeting, there are very senior and experienced persons like Dr. Subhas Pani, General Mahapatra and other eminent persons. First of all, my regards to them and my best wishes to the students and other participants. Today's topic that CSR makes a difference. Yes, it makes a difference. Let me start with a saying. Be the change you wish to see in the world. CSR is a change. It is also an opportunity to change. Before CSR, there are philanthropy, charity, but those are rooted in benevolence, magnanimity, be good and do good behavior. Those welfare activities which have been taken up, they are sketchy, patchy, and no systematization, no sustainability. Contemporary CSR, there are two schools of thought. One school of thought, those who tell that corporations, they draw resources from the society, be it natural resource or human resources. Therefore, they are responsible to replenish it. And they are not doing a favor. Rightly so. Another school of thought, they tell that government alone does not have the authority to give license to operate. Society and community have a big say. So these are all the basis of the contemporary CSR. If you see the contemporary CSR, there are distinctly two phases. One is a moral phase before the amendment came in Companies Act and made CSR a statutory obligation. That is from 2014 onwards, and before that, it is a moral obligation of the corporates. Then a question comes, after this statutory obligation came, now already 5 years it has become, it's good enough a time to make an assessment that has the CSR made a difference? I will say yes, it has made a difference. And this difference, how it has come, where all the differences have been made, what kind or quality of difference has come, and where are those differences, who are all built up success stories of these differences. That's what the subject of the discussion today is. How part of this? CSR for the students, there are many sort of definitions, many sort of explanations are there, what is CSR, but a very nice description has been given by UN Global Compact that CSR addresses socio-economic and environmental concerns of the society. This corporate cause some concerns by drawing the resources and they need to address. That is the first school of thought what they have been propagating. Now coming to that, what is that? How it is that after this mandatory provision came, how the operations have been made, what has been the operating system that it has brought a difference. I have tried to put it broadly under the forehead. Every head starts with M. One is the money. This amendment has made money available for the CSR. Prior to that, if we see, because I have been working as director and CMD for the last 14 years, before the amendment came, much before the amendment came, and after the amendment came, I have found that the amount of money that was available for CSR, it is almost 50% less than what is now is being available. Large companies were having maximum 1%. Some of the companies, sometimes they go beyond that. But by and large, I have seen that 1%, 1.2% was the of the profit that was available. So first thing that the change came, that a huge amount of money became available, making it a statutory minimum. One can go up to that. Then a mechanism came, board level committees. I have observed in all the boards, board of the coal sector where I was director, and then board of the steel sector where I was director, and then as chairman of NALCO, that this board level committee, which the CSR amendment has brought in, where the independent directors are there, and there is a committee of directors who will be preparing the CSR policy activities, and also they will allocate the budget. It has very effectively, significantly, it has brought a difference, because a letdown scheme is there with budget or the money allocated in which the corporate or the company has to proceed. This is yet another thing, another change which has been brought. And any change or any action which is taken, that need to be monitored if it has to go in the right way. Again, here the mandatory provision of the CSR brings the monitoring aspect. The monitoring is done at the three level, at the board level, at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs level by the disclosures which the companies they make, that is they call MCA 21 portal. And third one is the public, that from all the postings they make the website, whatever it comes out, and they make the monitoring. And last one, which has brought the difference, the motivation aspect. Motivation aspect has come from one that those corporates who do good CSR activities, they have a good corporate citizen image, and every corporate try to do the work, because in all our notes when we write, at the end it is written that this corporate CSR project will strengthen the corporate image of a responsible corporate citizen. So that thing remains as the catch to make the proposal through. And apart from that, media also backs corporate CSR activities, and the corporates who do good CSR activities, they would get a good propagation in the media itself, and opportunity to see the C index. I have seen that we have calculated when I was there in coal that what is the opportunity to see index of an organization, particularly the CCL Central Coal. We found that the amount of publicity that the Central Coal has got because of the CSR activity, if it is monetized, in that if it would have gone for paid advertisement, then that amount is more than what the expenditure has been made on CSR. So sometimes that has become a major motivation. And coming to the what kind of difference has made the CSR? One thing I will tell, the major difference that has been made by the CSR is making a qualitative difference by bringing in sustainability. It is the sustainability that has brought the difference between the statutory CSR, which is now going on, and prior to that. And where all these differences have come, CSR generally addresses three areas: social, economic, and environmental. Prior to CSR, environment has not become very much focused. Environment movements are going on, and that has been making environment issue more alive. I will also say that CSR has contributed largely for making the environmental issues very much alive to the public. And area which have got the attention is education, health, rural development, poverty, hunger, malnutrition, sanitation. If you see the expenditure commitment in 2017-18, education has got 34%, health 16%, rural development 11%, poverty, hunger, malnutrition 5%, and sanitation 2%. Here one thing I just want to mention, one of the concern is very less attention have been received in the CSR about the incubation centers, which some of the organizations are picking up. I will come to that. Another area where the difference has been brought is aspirational districts. There are 170 aspirational districts in the country, and one estimate in financial year 2019, the intervention in one area education, if we take 87 companies, 233 projects and 450 crore in this education programs have been launched, and I hope that heterogeneity of development which has been there in the aspirational district can be evened out, and CSR will there make a difference. Now, let me come to the who aspect, that who are all those companies who are making success stories. The CSR is being done by all. There are some companies who have some flagship programs that I will just try to bring it out. ONGC and Indian Oil, they have made very good work in higher education. Super 40, you must be hearing that very poor students, meritorious students are picked up and they are trained, coached for getting into IIT, getting into NIT, and there they have got Indian Oil. Till then it is they have been doing, even OMC of Orissa has been doing their Super 40 thing for the last 3 years. Same in the area of environment conservation, BHL in the area of disaster management, Reliance Industry, Project Drishti, they have got a success story where bringing back eyesight of the visually challenged, those who are from the weaker sections of the society. Mahindra and Mahindra, they have introduced a very novel scheme, that is ESOP. It is not employee stock option, but it is employees social option. Employee will pick up a program, and that program will also be funded by the company, and together they will be employees participation. They have done this a very novel program. In fact, in NALCO also, one of the things we have done that I will be coming to separately. And another program which they have made is Nanni Gali, that is promotion of the girl child. Then TCS has made a success story in digital literacy. Around 1 million people have been made digitally literate. ITC, eChaupa, connecting rural farmers through internet for procurement of agricultural products. 40,000 villages, 4 million farmers have been connected to this program, making a distinctly difference. Tata is the community development. Tata is very strong in community development, but I had gone once to Tata when I was there in steel sector to study their community practices. Ultratech Cement, healthcare and family welfare is very much focused by them. Central Coal, where I was there, a very good sports academy has been constituted. In fact, this academy idea was given by none other than the Mahendra Singh Dhoni. And from there, we picked it up and we started developing. It is a academy where around 200 to 250 crore have been spent by the coal sector. That has become a very good success story. And Visakhapatnam steel plant, where again I had worked there, one Arunodaya school is there for the physically challenged. You can go to the school, you will find very nice how the students, how the children, those who are suffering from physically challenged, mentally challenged, they are bring up and again rehabilitated and put into the mainstream. NALCO, I will be separately dealing, and flagship programs are NALCO Ki Ladli, Puri Iconic City, Nano-based Embryo Technology, ESR. This nano-based embryo technology, I will tell that, you know that Anugul and other area, they are all endemically fluoride contaminated water, underground water. And this was a problem when I joined as CMD and I had visited Anugul. Many of the reporters asked that, what are you doing for this fluoride contamination? Incidentally, during that time, I was trying to search for a technology because already RO and plasma technology are there where it is separated. But again, the separation comes in the form of a residue, and disposal of residue becomes a problem. So I was thinking that whether it can be gasified so that this gas is again put into the smelter and the devil remains in the circuit. And incidentally, a group of young scientists who came from USA and had put up a small lab in Hyderabad called ESA. And they told that yes, we will try to develop And I suggested to them that I have heard that application of nanotechnology, the behavior of the matter changes at the nano level. So whether you can apply this technology and make it, and they made that technology. And today, if you go to Anugul smelter, you will find that a nano-based Ebriro technology, this technology has been patented also. In fact, Nalco has earned some money from there. And this technology has been adopted. There, the technology is simple. It creates electronic waves in the nano digester tank, which sets the atomic bond of the effluent, and then the gas starts, fluoride gas starts emitting atoms, and then it is released and taken in the tube and charged in the smelter. So this technology has been made available for the endemically contaminated fluoride contamination area, particularly Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. In fact, Andhra Pradesh also they have put this technology now. And now coming to the difference that has made in the coming years, more of such difference should be coming in terms of the new CSR trend. One is that since the introduction of the mandatory CSR provisions, spend in CSR is increasing. It's a good thing, good news for the people that more of money is being put by the corporate in CSR. And it is expected that the compliance of the CSR provisions, which has been 60 to 70%, in the next 2 to 3 years, it is going to become 97 to 98%, because slowly the corporates have realized that it is in their interest. CSR makes a difference and they need to take advantage of this difference. And a very innovative CSR spend has been made during the COVID time by making spend on payment of ex gratia as a one-time measure to the workers, because it's a new area which is opening for the CSR. I'm amazed actually. Then another thing is local area spend has distinctly increased, but as Dr. General Mahapatra was telling that whether we should confine to local area or we will go to the all India level, because this question was also asked to me in one of the parliamentary committee meeting on steel and mines, that why the corporate should not go to all India level. Then we told that this is the provision under section 135 where the preference has to be given to the local area. But now the discussions are going on that a percentage has to go. In NALCO, we made the percentage that 80% will be spending in the local area and the state, and rest of the 20% at the all India level. And under that also we have been spending and making things in different places wherever it is required. Then one significant thing, if you see the average spend of CSR in case of a PSU is 8 to 10 crore. In case of private, it is 70 to 95, but it is increasing because there are a number of private organizations are more than the PSU. So average has become like that. And now one more good thing, that CSR is getting included in the core value of the organization. If you see the value statement of the organization, you will find that CSR is coming increasingly there. And business processes, key business processes, it is also getting incorporated. In fact, in NALCO, if you see the corporate plan 2030, then there you will see that it is clearly mentioned that in the key business process CSR is there, because we want to dovetail all our key business processes to the CSR and to make the CSR sustainable. CSR is becoming a buzzword, a prestige tag, a new discipline in the management with CSR specialist. General Mahapatra was again asking that what will be the career in the CSR. I will tell the sir, this will be a very rewarding career, because many organizations are not finding the right kind of persons to implement CSR. Because when I was recruiting the chief executive officer for NALCO Foundation, I found that a very limited number of persons are there who are right kind of persons. So CSR requires a different bent of mind. That is, it requires a missionary mode, not a duty mode. So if the students, those who are aiming at a career in CSR, definitely a very good career is in the offing, because more and more CSR specialists will be required by the organization to carry on. And CSR has mobilized the corporates. It is corporates who have managerial expertise, technology, strategic thinking, manpower and money to bring in wide social change and to make a difference. And it is CSR who have mobilized it. You have seen I have given around 12 corporates who have made success stories. Now, let's come to the major concerns of the CSR, which will be also addressing some of the questions of General Mahapatra. That huge fund is coming to CSR. Mr. Sanjay Panda has already shown 50,000 crores like that more. So that need to be accountability, transparency, fairness and responsibility. Delay in identify application of the projects, approval and execution, these are some of the issues. One of the questions General Mahapatra was asking that should it not be implemented by the agencies? I will tell that yes, it should be implemented by specialist agency instead of companies trying to do it, unless the companies are very big companies who can afford a department, who can afford specialists, who can constitute trust, etc. So it will always be better if they depend on implementing agency who are specialists who can take the thing forward. Otherwise, many of the projects are languishing because the company has no expertise, but they have entered into and they have stepped into these projects. Then another area of concern is criminalization of the default, which is a concern of the corporates, because default is visited with proposed to be visited with imprisonment. That should not be there, because this should not there should not be criminalization of the default, because there are penalties there are other things. That's why, due to objections of the corporates, it has been kept in abeyance. Now we hope that government will take an appropriate view. Then another area of concern which I was also advocating when I was in NALCO, that if you spend in CSR, it is not treated as business expenses. No, that is not the correct thing. I think government should rethink it. And I have heard that finance ministry is reconsidering that thing, because CSR expenditure, if a company makes, then they should not be penalized by not treating it as a business expenses. It should be treated as a business expenses. Then DMF is there and CSR is there. DMF also makes local area development, so there should not be any overlapping of the thing. So representative of the companies should be in the DMF committees with the district administration, so that they are able to make a distinction. In fact, in that line, I have also given some suggestions to the government. They have also assured that they will be considering that thing. Now, I will come to NALCO CSR. Very fast I will go, within 5 to 6 minutes it will be finished. Caring and sharing is the major focus of NALCO CSR. There is vision, mission. 11 areas of focus are there, who are all up for the civil servant. Education is the major focus. NALCO spends around 50 crores in the education. Of course, not from the CSR, because this education, the institution are for the employees of the NALCO, and some of the outsiders, they read it. But that's why that thing we do not book it as a CSR expenditure, but those which are for the outsiders, that much only is booked as CSR expenditure. Now, NALCO Ki Ladli is a flagship program of thing. I will give show a small clipping.
Not audible.
The company launches Nalco Ki Ladli around its operational areas. Today, the bright girls hitherto marginalized below the poverty line have been financially strengthened under the scheme to fulfill their academic pursuits. It is not just scholarship, it is a strong social message to bring about gender parity. According to Vishnu Puran, Savidya Yavimuktaye, that is, knowledge is one that liberates. NALCO has been endeavoring to empower and emancipate girl students in rural India. In their confidence and smiles, perhaps one can see the future of our nation.
NALCO Foundation सहायता पूर्वर मोर झील मैंने अनेक समस्या अतिक्रम करुले पाठ पढ़ला बेले अनेक प्रकार अभाव अनेक प्रकार पेन खाता ट्यूशन अनेक प्रकार अभाव रोला नाल्को फाउंडेशन द्वारा जहाँ आम झील मान बाबद पागुछु बर्तमान झील मैंने कंटिन्यू ट्यूशन जारी रखी पढ़ापढ़ी कौन अभाव होना पुणी एभली जदि नाल्को फाउंडेशन तरफ सहायता ମିଳେ ତାହେଲେ ନିଶ୍ଚିନ୍ତ ଝିଅମାନଙ୍କର ଭବିଷ୍ୟତ ଉଜ୍ଜଳ ହେବ ଏହା ମୁଁ ଆଶା ରଖୁଛି।
ନାଲକୋକୁ ସର୍ବପ୍ରଥମେ ମୁଁ ନାଲକୋକୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଦିଏ ଯେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଅଲିଅଲ ଝିଅ 6,000 ଟଙ୍କା ପାଇ ଆମେ ସୁବିଧା ପାଇପାରୁଛୁ। ଆମର ଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ ଫିସ୍ ଆଉ ପେନ୍ ପେନ୍ସିଲ୍ ବହି ଖାତାରେ ଆମେ ସହାୟକ କରୁଛେ। ଆମେ ସେଇଟା କିଣିକରି ଭଲସେ ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିପାରୁଛୁ ଓ ଆଗ୍ରହ ଜନ୍ମୁଛି ଯେ ଆମେ କେମିତି ଆଉ ଆଗାମୀ ଦିନରେ ଭଲ ପାଠ ପଢ଼ି ଜୀବନରେ ଗୋଟେ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ ରଖି ଚାଲିପାରିବୁ।
ନାଲକୋ ତରଫରୁ ଆଣିଥିବାରୁ ମୁଁ ନିଜକୁ ଗର୍ବ କରୁଛି। ଆଉ ନାଲକୋ ଆମକୁ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରୁଛି। ଆମକୁ ଯେଉଁମାନେ ପଢ଼ୁନଥିଲେ ଗାଁରେ ରହୁଥିଲେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ବି ବହୁତ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରୁଛି। ଆଉ ମୋତେ ବି
ମୁଁ ଏଇ ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିଛି ଏତେ ସୁଯୋଗ ପାଇଥିବାରୁ ମୁଁ ନାଲକୋକୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଜଣାଉଛି।
So this Nalco Ki Ladli, this particular program has also been recognized and it has received President's recognition. Healthcare is also another major area of focus where main flagship program is the mobile health units which provides services at the doorstep. Around 1 lakh patients gets treated in a year. Here it is one in Oltupur. They make artificial limbs, but they expressed a problem that these limbs are not precisely made because of lack of robotic machine. And patients, after they wear these limbs, they feel pain after 5 to 6 months. Then Nalco contributed for the first time a 7-axis robotic machine was brought with CAD/CAM software facility that which would be making precise limbs, and it was costing Nalco around 2.8 crores. But right now, all the artificial limbs which are made by Oltupur, they are all precise and they give comforts to the patient.
नालको जो गाड़ी देती आम सुविधा पे आम छोटा लोक बसिक जीवा आसिया करने एकदम सुविधा
बहुत अच्छा लगता है जाने आने को। नालको कंपनी को धन्यवाद देता हूँ।
Nalco has done very good job for the senior citizens. Hopefully they will continue for the long time.
So one thing I would just like to point out that almost all schemes which are introduced, like let us say that electric vehicles, we know that once the electric vehicle it will be good, but what happens is sustainability, for which all were under the annual maintenance contract for 5 years. So that for 5 years there will be no problem and it will be going on, because most of the cases what happens as a one-time major company gives, and after the process, after 3 or 4 months after the machine does not work and it goes on remaining as a monument of foolishness. But that we have tried to avoid it. But almost all programs of NALCO, during that time we have included that maintenance aspect to keep it sustainable and working. In fact, in Puri, NALCO has done a number of projects like inside Jagannath Temple, complete lighting, solar lighting system has been introduced by NALCO. And they have this museum of Lord Jagannath, that is also NALCO has contributed, that is getting over. The Gandhi Park, which has been done on the beach, you can see that on a sustainable basis, again, with a maintenance contract of 5 years. So many of the programs, drinking water facility also, and many areas which are beyond the 2% also NALCO has gone ahead. Apart from that thing, NALCO has given around 130 crores to Koraput district for taking out various CSR activities by them. 30 crores also NALCO has given to aquatic complex to be made by Government of Odisha. So wherever there are need was there, and NALCO has the ability, NALCO has given, because people of Odisha, they have expectations of NALCO, and NALCO has to live up to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chand. That was a very interesting and also very illustrative presentation about the CSR scene in India in general, but also with specific reference to NALCO, what it has been able to achieve in the last few years, and it has aspired to be one of the ideal corporates and to discharge its not only its duty but also set some standards, and particularly because it has been working largely in the tribal area in Koraput, and also in one of the less developed, I would say, district Dhenkanal, though many of you may think that Dhenkanal, because of the Talcher area, which is a lot of industries are there, but there are also hinterland of the factory areas where the situation is really not, situation needs improvement. So that was between Dr. Panda and Dr. Chand. They have now given us a comprehensive picture. I think the participants are many, including a lot of students. So we will devote some time to hear the participants, and also if they have any preference for any particular of any of the two speakers to respond, they may indicate that. But otherwise, they can choose. One of them can choose to respond. So it is now open for questions and also observations. I think we'll start off with the General Mahapatra, who is wants to give his input after the hearing the two speakers, and then it will be open for others.
Thank you, both the speakers. Wonderful presentation. So I have got very, in the beginning I had mentioned, now this is to Dr. Tapan Babu. Do you think it is a time and desirable to increase the percentage from 2% to higher? Is there a desirability? Is it possible, practical? What do you feel about it? So that is one of the points which I had mentioned. Second, little more, because the students are here, little more detail given about the career prospect. They are waiting to hear that. Thank you very much.
I think we would request Mr. Chand first to mention about this, then we'll ask Dr. Panda if he wants to supplement.
Thank you, General Mahapatra. You have raised a very relevant point, because 5 years have already passed, and if you see the contribution made by corporates, there are around a large number of corporates are there who are right now also spending more than 2% statutory minimum. In fact, NALCO spends more than 2% in last 4 years. We have been going much above the 2%. It will all depend on the ability of the corporate to pay. But in my opinion, that we may wait for another 5 years to see that whether we should increase it from 2% to 3% or like that. But right now, since it is statutory minimum, corporates are open to make more expenditure, which they are making. Some of the corporates are making. And particularly now, it is the COVID year, and then post-COVID recovery of the industry is going on. So in my opinion, another 2 to 3 years we may wait, and then we can go for increasing, because yes, it should we should go for fund for the CSR, and right now it is statutory minimum is there. That is okay with the corporates, because if they want, those who have the ability, they can spend, because Tata is also spending more than that. Many of the large corporates, public and private sectors, they are spending, and this statutory minimum after 2 or 3 years we can think of, yes, it should be thought of. Then regarding career prospect, I will say yes, there is a very bright prospects of career as far as CSR is concerned. I have already mentioned in my discussion that CSR is slowly emerging and very solidly that as a different discipline and department. So CSR will definitely be picking up candidates who will be making better contribution. More particularly here probably if I am given the option that people with a better EQ rather than IQ, they should be picked up because emotional quotient is more required here, and people those who will work with in a mission mode, they are required to be done. In fact, while I was recruiting as CMD of NALCO for NALCO Foundation, I have always kept that thing in the mind, and that has made the difference. Because very good people will give good result, and definitely it will give you a very good career. And coming days are bright days for CSR professionals.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will
Dr.
contact.
Panda, would you like to add?
In fact, sir, I couldn't make my presentation fully. I think I was interrupted when I just covered 25 minutes. Anyway, I have got a chance. I will take 1 minute. General Mahapatra, sir. You see, the point I was specifically trying to make is that we are spending about 13,000 crores in a year under CSR. But in respect of hunger, in respect of midday meal only, Government of India spent 8,100 crores. So we should not limit our discussion on CSR to the amount of money. CSR, in fact, is a much bigger concept of participation of corporate as a stakeholder in affairs of the society. And if I can put very strongly, first thing is that let the corporate lead their management. Second thing is that there is corporate volunteerism. There are many cases where the corporate young executive has gone and taken care of. We have constructed large number of toilets. But are those toilets being used? Is there water there? So the point is that if the corporate young executive who are, they also want to do social cause, let us not undermine, not that we are only custodian of every good thing. So if they want to spend 1 day in a month, then that also comes to enormous thing. Third thing is like that we are now the biggest problem has come after COVID in terms of livelihood and employment. Well, let us talk about ancillaries. If we set up ancillaries, it would be much better, by providing employment. So, these are the things. One is corporate volunteerism. Main thing is let corporate, government and NGO work together. In fact, that is my humble submission that our major problem is that we are trying to do individually all these things and individually there are limitations. That is why I picked up the Akshapatra Foundation thing. Thank you, sir.
General Mahapatra, would you like to supplement something?
That's fine. They have answered the thing, and we'll contact Dr. Amaro Tapan Babu for recommending course for the college. For the student, that will be a very positive thing. This will be probably the first one. We'll start CSR as a subject in our college for the management. Thank you very much.
The Mahapatra Sahib, let me clarify here that this type of course are already being conducted, and one of the first institute we did the course is the Tata Institute of Social Science. Tata Institute of Social Science and many institutes dealing with social science are already into CSR. Maybe, Dr. Chand has some brilliant concept, these are new thing, evolving thing, but already it is being there. If you visit Tata Institute of Social Science, you'll get plenty of this.
Mr. Patra wants to know what would be the percentage of CSR money spent by NALCO perhaps on environment. If Mr. Chand can give some idea.
Yeah, as far as the environment is concerned, those statutory obligations, we exclude those things from CSR expense. Because in the environment itself, NALCO spends around 120 to 130 crores per annum, but we are not taking those into account because those are on statutory requirements. So as per the CSR Act, it will not be treated as CSR expenditure. We are only treating where creating of the awareness for the environment or water harvesting or building of a green belt, etc. To that extent it is being treated, and there a good amount of money is spent. Percentage, because the total percentage out of the expenditure, this environment will be occupying maybe 4th or 5th position as far as the gradation of the area of spend is there. Because first spend is the education, second is the health, and third one comes this malnutrition, then poverty alleviation, then hunger, etc. Then it comes the environment. So like that, it's because a large amount of money is spent on the statutory obligation in environment protection. And also, whenever any project is there, there is a set of prescription comes that you do this thing that have to be excluded. So it is in the fifth to sixth position as far as the grid of expenditure of CSR amount is concerned.
Thank you, Dr. Chand. I don't know whether there are any other comments or questions, because I don't see anything in the chat box. If any of the students want to know something, I think we should let them participate. They can raise their hand or send something in the chat so that we can recognize them and then give them the opportunity to ask something. So Swarup Babu can indicate whether he is receiving. I don't see anything in my chat.
Dr. Pani, can I say intervene
yes,
a little
please.
bit?
Dr. Priyambada Hajmadi would like to make some comments.
No, actually, I have been a beneficiary of NALCO initiative on culture, because Dr. Minati Mishra and myself, and there was another mini. We are known as in the early days of Odissi. It owes us 3 minis to a lot of development, and out of these two, Minati Mishra and myself, we received 1 lakh. We shared through Guru Pankaj Charan Das Foundation, which was actually funded by NALCO. And Mr. Chand couldn't come because there was some election or something like that. The third mini is more interesting. Third mini is sister of no less than Major General Mahapatra. She actually Sumitra Mishra and wife of late Rangnath Mishra. She was also a wonderful Odissi dancer, you should know. We have 3 minis of Kathak, very famous at that time as children. Thank you very much, NALCO. Keep it up.
That's a very important dimension of the work being done by NALCO. I think most of you must be familiar with the Adi Guru, as he is known, Pankaj Charan Das, who was the Guru of Kelucharan Mahapatra. And it is nice that with the patronage of NALCO, the Pankaj Charan Das Foundation is organizing annual functions and some awards are being given. I think that was a timely and very good intervention in the field of culture, because it is necessary for us to remember our stalwarts who really brought Odissi to this global stage. Now, I don't find too many responses in the chat or anything, so I think I'll take just a few minutes.
If there is no other question, may I get permission to ask another?
I have already asked, sir, and I don't find anybody in the chat asking,
has been left out
for participation.
Okay.
I've also asked Mr. Swarup to indicate if there is anybody.
Donation to government agencies. What is the desirability? That point has been left out. I have given quite a few and that has been addressed. Is it desirable government makes a scheme and we contribute to that? That is one. Secondly, whether the corporates can get together a very, very big project like what is Nalli, what is the project name? Like Mahindras, Nanni Kali. Like that big project, whether the corporates can get together and the corporate, should they give it to the government agencies? That is one of the points which I had raised.
I think the possibility is not ruled out. It requires a response from 2 sides. One is from the corporates coming together and finding a good implementing agency which will coordinate and do it, because obviously the CSR, it is my personal view is that the government should not get to implement it. This is because corporate social responsibility initiatives and the funds which they provide is to supplement what the government is already doing. As Dr. Panda indicated, the government is doing a lot of things. So I think I don't know how much time we have, because I would like to take about 5 minutes to conclude. And unless Dr. Panda can very briefly quickly give his intervention.
Sir, I'll be very
Conclude
brief,
also.
very brief to address the issues raised by General Mahapatra. First thing is that corporate has been contributing to government much before 2014. In fact, I had done National Sports Development Fund. Before that, National Culture Fund was done. It was all done with the basic objective of mobilizing corporate fund to be utilized by the government. So point number one is it can be done. Point number two is that CSR is a thing. Apart from money, corporate partnership, management, all other things are there. So we should try to address global to major national issues like the question of several issues have been discussed. I am not naming that thing. They are welcome. The rules regulation provide for that thing. So basically, it is a problem of mindset. Corporate coming together and government supporting it and taking partnership by it. That is my view. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We'll now conclude, and I'll give a few of my own comments while taking cue from whatever has already been done. Though the concept of CSR is and the statutory basis of this is not very old, it's a recent phenomena. But I think what is important is also the concept which was briefly touched upon about the corporates being responsible citizens, even without the formality or the statutory requirement of contributing something. And I think in India itself we have great examples, starting with the Tata Steel plant when it was started in Jamshedpur. I think it was a large township was established, and it has been continuously working with the local people around it, and it has proved to be one of the ideal corporate citizens. So I think that is a larger perspective which we may need to keep. But at the same time, there are also issues which I think the corporates in India have not been able to 100% successful in addressing some of the local issues, particularly on the environment front. For example, the issues relating to ash ponds frequently breaking down once in a while, and then the total pollution which is there because of the large number of corporates being present, that those are really large challenges. Now, one of the points which General Mahapatra mentioned was really this can be applied in this particular field of the pollution, local pollution. If you Angul, Talcher area and Jharsuguda area, if you go today, there are two major issues. One is the pollution as such. The second is the frequent breakdown of the road infrastructure because of the heavy transportation. Now, these are issues which actually concerns more than one corporate. And along with that, it has also, that is something, it's a three-legged race which has to be run by the corporates and the government together. Because if you want to repair the road, because of the continuous transportation, sometimes even if the money is there, the road cannot be repaired because it's actually never free for actually doing large repair or the heavy repairs. So these are, I think, particularly in the context of Odisha, these two areas have to be addressed very frontally, and that would go a long way. I am told by the relevant people that the utilization of ash has been rising, and it has reached a very high level, which is very creditable. I think the corporates have played a very important role in facilitating this. Secondly, I know that as far as NALCO is concerned, the red mud utilization has not been very good, though they have utilized the red mud for plantation, and the plantation has actually come up very nicely because it has been found to be quite nutritious for the plantation, and they have chosen some specific plantation for this purpose. But the red mud utilization is also, there is a lot of scientific research which is needed to support that, and that's a continuous problem. The moment you have a huge alumina factory, that will always produce this red mud. So I think I'm sure that that is one area which will be addressed. The second area of my concern, which is also, is that while there can be larger area of coverage for the corporates, their natural concern will be, especially in the context of industrial corporates which are in production and industrialization, for them to take care of the immediate surroundings. One of the biggest challenges is to provide sustainable livelihood and also increase the livelihood of the population in the hinterland. That is very important. So for example, we know that the area surrounding Damanjodi has a lot of vegetables, and I know that NALCO has also taken some initiatives, and HAL has also taken some initiatives in supporting innovative cultures, including organic farming and all that. But can you make this in a big way so that those people's income on a sustainable basis goes up over a period of time, and they come out from one level of economic prosperity to a second level of economic prosperity, and then it becomes a self-generating and self-growing kind of thing. So this is, I think, these are, though they may not be very large, funds may not be involved, what happens really is that the expertise and the interaction with the people, the government is not always able to do it. So the finding the right kind of agencies and right kind of interface with the people, and providing them the inputs and also the guidance, and also marketing, channeling their marketing and putting these people together. This, I think, will be a great idea. And also identifying some of the good non-governmental agencies which are doing great work, and funding them, which is not prohibited as present. For example, we know that Ramakrishna Mission is doing great work in education in the Rayagada area of Koraput district, and similar institutions which can do better than the government can perhaps deliver. I think that is an excellent idea, and we have had experience of this couple of other initiatives like Kampa, and also the initiatives like MDF, which are now supplementing, because that is not coming through that CSR thing, but it is coming through the other statutory provisions which are making these funds available at the district level. So I think there is also a need to coalesce these initiatives so that they are complementing each other, and by taking this as a whole, the overall economic development of that area, social development of that area, and education can be these can be addressed. One of the big challenges which was briefly mentioned is relating to the COVID times and the pandemic times. One of our biggest experiences in India, and particularly in Odisha, has been the non-availability of adequate communication, and also the personal devices with which the children in remote areas, and even in the poorer sections of the so-called developed areas, have been deprived of proper education, which is now being carried out largely through the online. I think this has to be taken as a central challenge, because I don't think that this is going to remain limited to the pandemic times. As we go along, as we evolve, and as the technology evolves, there will be more and more delivery of education through the digital medium, and by leveraging the ICT technology, that is information and communication technology. So both in what innovative ways they can supplement this particular area of concern is something which can be one of the priorities. I think there has to be perhaps a interaction at the district level of coordinating these things, and also there has to be an interaction at the state level, so that clear priorities can be determined. Not that the corporates should be totally bound by that. They should go there, primarily it is their initiative, but also some initiatives can be taken to identify critical areas and emerging needs of the people, which can then be addressed through this corporate social responsibility. I think you have had a very excellent session today with two experts and very experienced professionals, I would say, in the area of corporate social responsibility, and I am sure that the people who have participated, and particularly the students, have benefited enormously from today's deliberations. I thank both the speakers, and I thank the organizers and our administrator of the technical aspect, Swarup Babu. Before we conclude, I think there will be a formal vote of thanks to be given by Swadesh. If you can take over and give the vote of thanks, with which we will conclude the session. Swadesh.
Mr. Saroj Mahanti, please. vote of thanks? Is it there?
Anything else?
Saroj Mahanti? Saroj Mahanti is not there?
Pardon?
He was there.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, he's there. He's there.
I am
Acha,
there.
okay.
He's there. Please go ahead.
Are you able to hear
Okay,
me?
Saroj.
Yes.
Yes. Vote of, thank you.
Okay, but
Acha.
I was
Mr.
listening
Patnaik
for
is going to give the vote of
hours.
thanks. Thank you. Mr. Patnaik, Mahanti, SK Mahanti, sorry. Please unmute.
Are you not able to hear me?
We can hear you. Unmute again, it has become muted. Yes.
We had a very interesting webinar and many eminent speakers. And after that, it is my pleasure and duty to propose a formal vote of thanks. You see, our meetings of think tank, to start with, are planned very meticulously. I mean, who will speak for how much time, who are the speakers, like that. And the credit goes to Mr. Sudesh Patnaik, our convener. And he has also done this meeting like that and given circulars to all of us regarding who should speak for how much time, like that. And we propose a very, what shall I say, thanks to him for so meticulous planning. Then about the speakers today, actually, though we had 2 speakers, but actually there were 4 speakers who are experts on this subject. Starting from General Mahapatra, he wanted to welcome the members, but actually he started speaking on the history of CSR. Amongst the audience or amongst us today, we have very eminent bureaucrats. So normally CSR will mean to them as civil service regulations. If you ask somebody outside that what is CSR, he will say it is civil service regulations. But CSR actually nowadays has become corporate social responsibility, on which we have been deliberating for last 1.5 hours. Started the topic and said how this statute evolved in the year 2014, and that also on April 1st. But I was wondering at that time that long before that, Tata had set up Tata Memorial Hospital. They had set up Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. They had set up Indian Institute of Science. Birlas had set up so many temples in our country. They were not the part of their business. They were also CSR in those days, though it was not officially mentioned like that. CSR actually brings the brand image. Today the Tata's brand image is so high because they have contributed socially. Similarly also Birlas. The way Dr. Chand spoke to us today, time was very insufficient for him. His slides were very nice, very prepared with a lot of thought, but he was not able to devote sufficient time to explain them to us. He was Chief Secretary in Tripura, apart from his so many qualifications. And as Sudesh Babu has said, he has got the award which is equivalent to Nobel Prize in sericulture. So such a distinguished person was with us today, has been with us today, and he has given his valuable time to prepare the slides and then to talk to us. Similarly, Dr. Chand is actually not a technology person. He is mainly from HR, human resource. He had worked in the Rashtriya Ispat Nigam, and then he came to NALCO. The success story of NALCO is that it is a PSU, but it has performed better than private sector plants like Hindalco or this aluminum company like that. And so the funds that they have generated, they have also spent on their CSR activities. Dr. Pani was mentioning about what they have done, how they should use the red mud, and then what further things they should do so that
the area around the plants in Anugul becomes better. And it was a very innovative talk by him. And as I said, in addition to 2 speakers, we have 2 other speakers in General Mahapatra and Dr. Pani. Dr. Pani, being the Chief Secretary of our state, has got a wide experience and knowledge about many things. He is a man of all seasons. We can always have him with us. He can moderate, he can contribute, and he can conduct the proceedings to see that the time factor is not lost sight of. Gentlemen, I propose a vote of thanks to all these 4 prominent speakers among us. They have given us valuable time to make our evening very, very useful and educative. So we should, before I conclude my vote of thanks, let me mention about the contribution of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan has been helping us to hold these meetings and to record our proceedings, and they are the technical host for the entire thing. And Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is taken as a corporate sector. This is their CSR activity. The help they are giving to us is also a part of their CSR activity. And you see how General Mahapatra is spending his time, starting from the beginning to the end. He's so active, so attentive, and then he speaks about so many subjects. We are indeed very, very grateful to Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And today the students have joined us. These students will be passing out soon. And General Mahapatra from the beginning is very, very worried about their career prospects. He is thinking his MBA students, when they pass out, how they can prosper in the corporate sector. So we thank the students who attended today. I think maybe 25 students have attended, total being about 40 today are attendance here. And we are grateful to this management school of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan for sending their students and also taking an active part in this, the technical side. We thank to Dr. Swarup Pradhan for that. Gentlemen, it has been a very, very nice meeting. It should be like anything tank meeting. We are only thinking, and then subsequent implementation another, we have to really think what we should do. Thank you so much.
I think with this we conclude the session today. Thank you everyone and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Mahanti, Saroj Mahanti, to propose a vote of thanks also. And then let us declare the webinar is closed, sir. Okay, the webinar is closed now.
The proceedings are uploaded in the YouTube. Those who have missed it out, they can see it in YouTube. So it is being recorded and it is being done. So it is available to all the members, particularly to the think tank and the students. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaskar.